Hey, this is Jeff Cutler at Plaistow Public Library, and we're talking with Cab, right?
Cab, C-A-B, like a taxi.
Tell me your name, tell me how you get involved with libraries, tell me what your passions are, or whatever else you want to talk about.
Well, I guess I'm the library director here. I've been here just over 5 years, and it's a good thing I'm passionate about libraries because that happens to be my job. So we have a staff of about 11 or 12 people, and I get to sort of corral the cats as best I can and try to offer services for the library.
Nice. When you're not doing the cat herding, this place has gone under some renovations. So how has the library changed since you've been around and maybe before you took over?
Well, the history, it's the building or the library itself is actually about 120 years old. So we're coming up on a pretty major anniversary, our 125th. I think in 2023.
Wow.
The building itself is coming up on its 20th anniversary, I believe next year in 2020. So in terms of how it's changed, well, all libraries have changed over the years, but a lot of things have stayed the same. We still offer books and movies and magazines and newspapers, programs for children. Those things have stayed pretty much constant over the past many decades, but with the growth in the internet and digital content, we're obviously doing a fair bit of that these days as well. So,
what's the biggest challenge for making people come to a library?
The biggest challenge, I'd say, it's a basic awareness. I think a lot of folks still don't know exactly what libraries do. And I think folks are surprised that you can come to the library and take a yoga class. You can check out a telescope. We have over 60 different local civic community groups that use our spaces every year. And I think it's just a question of getting the word out. You know, what are the services we offer? Some folks, believe it or not, still don't know that we have movies that you can check out. So we're Redbox, but your taxes are already paying for the service, so why pay Redbox when you can come to the library and check things out?
What are your visions for the future, I guess, in the library realm? How would you make a library a more solid part of the community? How would you get more people here? What's your dream library? Maybe that's a better question.
Well, I think the dream library is a busy library that's offering services that people want and need. So that will change over time, but I think a lot of towns, especially smaller New Hampshire towns, don't have community centers. So we're almost a community center, by default. And I think it's something we'd like to build on, working with other folks in town. For example, the recreation department, there's some crossover there in terms of mission. But I think, the most important thing we can do is listen to our local community and find out exactly what are the areas where, they see us being a valuable player in their lives. So one of the goals on our strategic plan, which the trustees approved last year, is to set up a community calendar. Folks often have to look in all sorts of different places to find out what's happening in the community, and we thought, well, we're in the information business, so why don't we play a role in collating and gathering and organizing that information? It's one of the things librarians are good at, so that's an example of where I think we can add value to the lives of people in town.
You speak of connecting with people. How do people get in touch with the library itself, short of coming in and grabbing a book?
Well, obviously, they can call us, they can email us. We send out newsletters, we send out press releases and articles to the local papers, but I think if folks are curious, they just have to give us a call or, as you say, swing by.
Yeah.
And we're open 6 days a week, but always happy to answer anyone's questions on Facebook or whatever works for you.
Sure. Is there a website they can go to just to grab all this stuff?
Sure. It's plaistowlibrary.com, and I'm director at plaistowlibrary.com, and our number is 382-6011, and we're always happy to hear from folks.
We're here at Plaistow Public Library in Plaistow, New Hampshire. My name's Jeff Cutler, and I'm speaking with Scott Campbell. Scott, tell me a little bit about how you found yourself, I guess, here in the executive boardroom of Plaistow Public Library, and really how you got into the library business.
Yeah. English major from UNH, and needed a work-study job to help for financial aid. And the off-campus, I owned a car, and the off-campus library paid $6 an hour for work-study students. And this was we won't mention. And the on-campus library and all those dining hall jobs and all those things were $4.50 an hour. So I said, I'm going to do the library. I always liked libraries. And so I started as a work-study student at the Exeter Library and the Portsmouth Library. And then I ended up working at the UNH Library for 3 years. Took a detour into the public sector, marketing and PR, market research for a couple different companies in Portsmouth, and then found myself back into libraries. So I've got a very circuitous route. I may be the only marketing guy / delivery driver / librarian you're ever going to meet.
Yeah, but some of those life lessons probably apply to libraries.
Absolutely.
Because people need to know what's here. They need to make a connection with their community facilities, especially libraries where you can find so many resources for so many different things. Is this, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on you, but is this your dream job? Or is this your dream path?
Yeah, people ask me, what I do, and they tell me I just light up. I'm a librarian all the time. At a cocktail party, barbecue, a family get together, I'm always the librarian, and they always ask me the trivia questions, or they'll ask me, about the new movies or books that are coming out, and it's awesome. I love being a librarian.
This is going to be a tough question, only because you're so ensconced in this world, in the community of libraries. But I want you to give me the top three positive things that a library brings to a town or to a community.
It's a lot of things. The library, it was a book repository.
Yeah.
That was what the library was a place to go get books. That is so not what libraries are now. We have not just the things to borrow, books, and now movies. By the way, we have brand new movies on DVD. No one seems to know this. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
And then we have meeting spaces. When I was building an addition to the library I used to run, people were like, well, what do we need a meeting room for? We got places to go. We got the cafeteria at the school. We got the town hall. And once we built it with the meeting space, I had to buy software to manage all the different people trying to get into that.
And that
so the meeting place,
comes from your previous life, where all marketing says, well, if you have the person in the door, it makes it so much easier to sell them. And I put sell in quotes because you're not selling them services. You're just offering resources to make their life better.
I actually use the term sell.
Right.
I'll hand sell a book. I'll say, you should really try this book. And then I giggle about it later. I'm like, I sold them that.
Yeah.
Of course, the price is right. It's free.
If you had a magic wand and could create the perfect library, just in a sentence or two, what would that library have? What would the traits of that be?
It's evolving. So we have the books and the movies to borrow. We have the meeting spaces and the programs. Those are the three that you asked about earlier. The programs and events. The magic wand is working pretty well, actually. This is pretty close to what a modern-day public library should be, because we do offer all those things. We do have the technology. We do have the meeting space. We do have the programs. The children's programs are alone are worth the price of admission. We have one of the best children's librarians in the state here, and that brings the moms in, that brings the kids in.
Yeah.
Increasingly dads, we're working on them.
Right.
But no, the magic wand is, I don't need it. Do we need a little more funding? Probably. We could find ways to spend that money for sure.
Sure.
We're definitely we're probably about 3% to 5% of the town's budget,
Okay.
whereas the school system's about 70%.
Right.
And so my magic wand would probably be to move that number up a little bit for not just us, for every town.
Yeah.
That would probably be the key to where get people to understand that libraries aren't just for, retirees or toddlers. They're really for everybody. And the value from their tax dollar is phenomenal. Or the ROI is one of the highest in all of the governmental spending on libraries.
How do people find the information about what's going on here at Plaistow, and how do they get in touch with the library?
Oh, well, I have a prop.
Okay.
So we have a website.
Cool.
And I'm updating this constantly.
Yeah. And it's just plaistowlibrary.com with all this info on it.
Yeah. And we have a Facebook page that we're updating 2 or 3 times a day for 1,200 followers.
Yeah, with different events and stuff like that.
All kinds of events, new offerings. It's all there. We tweet. we are not on Instagram yet, but we're working on it. We have an email newsletter. We put posters all over the place. Word of mouth, actually, of course.
So the call to action to people is go to the website.
Start there, or just walk in.
And then come visit.
Or just walk in and start chatting with us. I think you'll find not only are we not a quiet, shushing library, but we're also a very friendly library. I think this staff is particularly friendly compared to a lot of other places you might go. So we don't bite.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Jeff Cutler. We're still at the Plaistow Public Library, speaking with the 2 principals of SharpOrange who have started a project called Libraryland. Is that correct, Greg?
That's right.
Greg, give me your whole name.
Greg.
Pronounce it correctly and tell us what Libraryland is all about.
Sure, my name is Greg Perverill-Conti. And Libraryland, when Adam and I started SharpOrange, we had to figure out where to work. And we could have gone to coffee shops, we could have gone to WeWorks, we could have gone a lot of places. But we settled on libraries. And we've been to, this is our 125th library.
Holy smokes.
In the last year. And they've been just a tremendous place to work. They've got parking, Wi-Fi, meeting rooms, great people. They're just fantastic.
Well, you can get work done in a library space. What do you do about a client that might want to meet face-to-face?
We've done client meetings in libraries, and I'll be honest, when clients come into, if you take a client to a library like this, their history room here, it's an amazing space. You wouldn't have any qualms bringing a client there. And I know, having spoken to the director, that frequently local business people, attorneys do hold meetings in their history room. Adam and I have had meetings with clients in the Walpole Public Library, in the Lincoln Public Library, in Danvers, in Hamilton Wenham. We have not yet had a client who has had a problem with that.
We're going to dig deeper in another episode about Libraryland, but I want to know what makes Plaistow a nice facility to do this stuff, to sort of grab a room, get some work done, maybe do some calls, and actually discuss the viability of your organization.
Well, it's kind of a weird coincidence. This is my hometown. This is the town I grew up in.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. I moved out of Plaistow back in, I guess, 84. But this is where I grew up. And although this library wasn't there then. So as we were exploring libraries, we thought, why not come up and check out this one? And it's actually, by our estimation, it's one of the nicer libraries we've been to. It's got, multiple study rooms. It's got, lickety-split Wi-Fi. It's a great facility. It's been really perfect for us this afternoon to come in and get some work done.
Here at Plaistow Public Library, there are a couple different programs that draw people in, but I did a walk through the children's area today and I was astounded. And I am lucky enough to have in front of us the person who actually runs that, who is going to tell us her name, her role, and we'll talk some more about the children's area.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Dolly. I'm the head of youth services here at the Plaistow Public Library. It's an amazing, amazing library. I'm very lucky to be here, and I absolutely love it.
Is your background in library science, or what was the path that brought you here?
My background is actually in early childhood education. I've taught kindergarten, first grade for many years, taking a break to raise my own children. It was sort of one thing leading to another, getting me to come to the Plaistow Library. I taught at a parochial school, which led me to becoming the teacher librarian at a private school, which opened the door to this amazing experience here at the Plaistow Public Library.
Were you a reader when you were a kid?
Oh my gosh, always had a book in my hand or under my desk.
What was your favorite?
Gone with the Wind was one of my favorites.
Okay, so like big books, not like Bobbsey Twins and series.
No.
Like the real books, the quote real books.
Right, the real big books and the wonderful, wonderful literature. I used to spend many hours in libraries and bookstores. I was a library aide when I was in junior high school. When I was teaching, that was always my favorite place to take the kids, and I would tutor at the public library in Hampstead, just down the street, and meet families up there and utilize all their wonderful services to help kids out.
What's the, I guess, best approach to get a kid to read, to get someone interested in books?
To find the right book and put it in the right hands. Once you do that, it's opening a magical door. Getting kids excited, just finding the right book and putting it in their hands. They will just take off once you do that. Getting them excited at Storytime, starting young, is another way that we get them all.
And that's a regular program here, the Storytime?
It is. We start Storytime at ages 0.
Really?
Yes, we have baby group that we have, baby bears, and we have our wiggly walkers. As soon as they start walking, we start wiggling around, and we have toddler time, and then we have story time through school age. After school, story time is very popular for a lot of kids getting right off the bus. So once you get them hooked on a book, they are ready to go and super excited.
How do you get parents to help their kids read? As far as how do you get parents involved with a lifetime of reading?
Well,
only because I don't know if parents will drop the kids off for story hour, but what do the parents learn? Do they get some tricks or techniques, I guess?
I try to share some of my experience in getting your kids excited to read. I always tell parents, put them on your lap. Start reading to them as soon as they're born. Get that board book right out there and pull them right onto your lap and get them excited about reading. And it's a journey that they start then and they continue throughout their lives.
Maybe give me the top couple things about Plaistow as a library, and specifically the children's area, the best things about it.
My families are absolutely amazing. I have some of the most wonderful families here, and kids, they're all engaged in all the activities that we do. We have wonderful story hour families, and the school system is amazing. They really partner well with us and help us spread the library. They help us spread the joy that we have here and the excitement that we want to share with the kids.
If there's one message you wanted to give to town members or the community, what would it be, having to do with reading and the library?
Reading, start young and it's magic. Open the door for all your children.
That's perfect. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Nice to see you.
I'm Adam Zand. I'm a co-founder and principal at SharpOrange, a PR and communications agency.
What does a library do for a PR and communications agency that you couldn't get by going to a crowded, noisy coffee shop?
So the crowded, noisy coffee shop means you're going to drink a lot of caffeine. and there's going to be a lot of conversations and a lot of really bad new age music. So that wasn't for us. The other alternative that some people suggested to us was co-working spaces. Some have been branded WeWork, some have been branded Work Bar. We'll put this nicely, it's just not for us. We felt fairly expensive, not a lot of room to stretch out in. Just wasn't for us, both of those options. So I think this is a sense of place, and libraries really are this last great democratic institution where anybody can go. Anyone from a CEO to a PR person to somebody who just wants to read the newspaper that day. So thankfully, most of the libraries we go to do have private rooms. If they don't, we find a space and we're just a lot more quiet than we usually are.
What's the response been from clients?
I think Greg might have pointed out, we have a client, Zoom Info, and we, pretty early in our engagement, told them where our office was. Basically, our office could be anywhere in the state. So when our client contact didn't want to go into the office one day, we said, well, where do you live? We'll come to you. We wound up in a couple of places with him. We wound up in the Lincoln Library, a wonderful older library slightly north of the city, but very close to Zoom Info. And then we did a strategic planning meeting in Hamilton Wenham, just a wonderful library, probably one of our favorites in the state, actually.
What do you guys, if you look at the history of libraries, and I'll come back to Greg for this, if you look at the history of libraries, we have the first public library in the United States, right? Or in the world?
You know, I can't say that for sure.
Well, I mean, you weren't around then, but isn't Boston Public the first public library?
The oldest library in the state of Massachusetts is actually in Franklin. They got their first collection in the 1790s, directly from Ben Franklin. The town was originally going to be called Essex, but Ben Franklin had just negotiated a treaty with the French, and the town fathers decided,
name it after him.
Why not name it after him? But then they went a step further, and they actually approached Franklin and said, hey, we named the town after you. Will you give us something? And originally they said they wanted a new church bell, but Franklin, he demurred and said, I think what would be better than a bell to call people to prayers is books to spread knowledge. And so he gave them their first collection. But for many years, it didn't have a permanent home. It circulated around the town from schools to churches. For a period of time, apparently, it was misplaced and was found in someone's barn after a period of time. But it is the oldest collection in the state, and Massachusetts has many of the oldest libraries in the country. It's pretty cool.
Nice. As a resource for information, what makes a library ideal for a company like SharpOrange, or for anyone who lives in any of these towns where these great institutions are?
Right. Well, we're all fairly mobile people these days, and access to free Wi-Fi and laptop. If we were in one library in Medford, I was having the darndest time with my laptop, and Greg said, why don't you check up front? Maybe you can borrow a laptop. And we did. Got work done that way. Primary source materials would seem like an obvious. We don't use them all that much, but if we have to, they're boundless. It's funny with Libraryland, our friend Dave Kay, who I think you know, he's a grant writer and fundraiser. He brought us to Newton Library and showed us a database that the Newton Library has and other libraries have that gives you access to all the grant writing opportunities and foundations really in the country. And part of our Libraryland effort, this project we're embarking on to try to go to every library in Massachusetts, we think there might be some foundations or maybe some associations that would want to be involved in our efforts. And why not use a database like that in a library? There's probably a million other uses. We're pretty focused on work. We want to get work done for our clients and move the needle, whatever that means for our clients. And libraries have been a good place for us to do that.
Let's cut to the chase. You guys score libraries. So
Greg's the score.
What's the score for Plaistow Public Library?
Plaistow is a 4.73.
On a scale of how many?
5. So it is, it's in the top 3. maybe the top 5 libraries that we've been to.
And you've been to hundreds, right?
We've been to this is actually number 125.
Okay.
More than that, it's actually almost 130. This is a really nice library. You asked though about if the resources in the libraries are helpful to us. I think that a lot of people make the assumption and the mischaracterization that libraries are primarily about books, and that's absolutely true. But as Adam said, they're also access to data sources that, as an individual and even as a small business, you couldn't get access to. They're also the home of things like the Library of Things, which allow people to check out non-books, non-movies. Looking out the window here, I can see the telescope that you can check out.
We're here at the Plaistow Public Library in Plaistow, New Hampshire. And we're going to talk with Scott Campbell, Adam Zand, and Greg Perverill-Conti about libraries and the value they bring to people. Like, these are movies, or games. Yeah, they're movies. Right here's Adam Zand, who is looking at a, oh wow,
Free
he's gonna
books.
get some new books.
Free.
Really, at a library?
Yeah, free. They give them away. You can take anything, but I think they want you mostly to focus here.
All right, that's fantastic.